Welcome back. You're here with Crystal. We are now on the 5th of February. Apparently, I do a date in the intro all the time now. Today I had a busy day. I had work for most of the day, and then there's this awesome festival for the film industry on in the Gold Coast right now, and I only found out about it a couple of weeks ago, so didn't book work off or anything, so I'm basically working all the days and couldn't really make it to anything, but I realised I could make it to a couple of seminars this afternoon, so actually I just booked them for one and then just managed to fit in most of the rest, so yeah, I went along today and met some new people, met some people that I met at a previous networking event, and just put my stuff out there, and learned about what else is going on in the industry, and it was fascinating from a nerdy film worker point of view, because coming from New Zealand, we've been very, very slow the past few years, and I know that's been the case also in the US. But the main seminar I went to, they were talking about how busy it's been and how hard it's been to find crews, including costume, which is baffling me. I haven't really put my ear to the ground, and I haven't been trying to find film work, to be honest. But yeah, just because, coaching is where I want to be basing myself, and I wanted a basic job that wouldn't take up 50 to 70 to 80 hours of my week, which film does. So that's why I have not gone full force to look for film work over here. But yeah, I do know that this is very much was coming from the perspective of the people like really running the show and filling up the studios, like running the studios and such. So their idea of busy is having the studio booked back to back, for instance, or for one of them at least. And that doesn't mean that all departments and all crews are booked up that solid, They might have, because there's like a window of time, like that's pre-production and the production of the actual movie, and then the post-production, and so like the studio is booked for however long they need to be in those offices in that studio. So post-production might happen somewhere else, for instance, but pre-production, like once it's developed, once it's greenlit and it's actually properly in production, will be churning, and they'll have to start setting up the offices for all the different departments. So like they very much need the studios for that time. And yeah, it's just, whereas costume, like I come on, if I don't know anyone yet and I'm in a new area, I'll just come on as a casual for a couple of days. They'll get to know and like me, and they'll keep asking me back, and then sometimes I end up full-time on that job for the rest of the job, but it's just very hit and miss. Just depends if it aligns or not. So it's a very chaotic industry, just found it fascinating, because I feel like in New Zealand we just haven't had, I just thought the film industry was not that pumping lately, and just to hear them say they've been busy for 5 years kind of blew my mind. I'm like, am I in a different universe today? Maybe I stepped into a different universe today. Anyway, I'm sure their reality was their reality, and that's awesome. Love that. But also, it doesn't sound like, for my frame, because I've worked in London and I've also worked in Vancouver, especially when it was really busy when I was over there working in between 2017 and 2019. We were doing there's probably at least 40 different productions on any given week around the BC area, British Columbia, and that's a lot. Whereas they mentioned something about having more than 4 or 5 things in the Gold Coast. Is kind of a hard, because that's kind of where we hit capacity with studio space, and then using also warehouses as studio space. And so it could just be that our measures are different. But then if I go back to New Zealand, obviously it's smaller again. So anyway, it was fascinating just to hear in other countries or local areas, at least Queensland perspective of what's going on in film, and the fact that they're putting on this whole awards and festival to do with the industry, and then obviously inviting, like, trying to find new crew. They said they were struggling to find new crew, and I'm just like, okay, mind blowing. I've got 17 years experience in film and TV, off and on. Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, don't know if there's anyone who's actually filming that's watching this today. I've kind of gone down a tangent from my film brain, having just done what I've done today. But if you are, and maybe you're in an area that's not been so crash hot lately, yeah, maybe come to Queensland. I don't know. If you can get a visa, a working visa. I don't know. Anyway, it does sound busier in New Zealand this year though, so that's really good to hear. Anyway, not everyone here is all about that film life like I am. But yeah, I just found it fascinating, and they had a whole red carpet and everything. I was like, I feel fancy. I wish I could hang out more of the festival, to be honest, but that's okay. And then yeah, it's my birthday in a few days, so me and my friend we like to go out and sing karaoke, or at least something where we can get up and sing. And so we went to do that at one place, and then it was a bit full on, and you needed to do a bit much homework to go up, and you had to wait for 3 hours for them to call you up and all this stuff. Anyway, we kind of gave up on that, just went to a good old karaoke bar. And we had a lot of fun, so yay. Sang some songs, and yay. So today has been a very much extrovert kind of day for me, which I'm not used to anymore, because I love being at home and I love in my own company and doing my own thing. But I'm really glad that I did all those things. And it didn't, like, sometimes I get stressed out when I'm going from thing to thing to thing, and it's all back to back to back, because I'm like, oh, it's going to feel like too much. But I just kind of made my peace with it and just went along with the day, and had a good time because of it. So yeah, sometimes you do have to say yes to the thing and actually show up and do the thing, because like part of me was like, oh, do I even bother to try and fit in this festival? And I'm like, oh, it's going to be running out of work and catching a bus and getting to the seminar just on time, and I don't even know if it's the right seminar, but it's just the one at the right time. Anyway, so yeah, and then I'm so glad I went, and I would have been gutted to think I had to wait another whole year to catch any of it, to think I hadn't caught it, anyway. Yeah, and I just love film and TV. I love filmies. I love what we collaborate to create together, and the power of the medium, like, for change, to help people. And that's why I get frustrated sometimes when, film and TVs are, like, a lot of popular stuff is just a lot of violence and, like, just yucky energy. I mean, as a coach, I understand the power of our words and our actions and what we're washing our brain in every time we watch something. And I just think, choose things that you want to see more of in this world. I mean, totally, if you're a horror fan and it excites you, and great, okay, that's fine. But just, notice if it's starting to make you feel a bit heavy, like, maybe, mix it up with a comedy occasionally, and also maybe you love horror because you like looking at the artistry of how they, how they make the dead prosthetic, the guy who's dead with prosthetics on, like, look really awesome, will look really gory and there's quite an art to it. See, like, I like it from that perspective, but I just don't want to be scared when I'm watching something. So even though like, I worked on a movie called Megan 2 in 2024, and it's just come out on Netflix, and it's honestly not that scary. It's not. It's more of a gentle AI campy thriller. Anyway, I to watch, like, when I got the work on it, I had actually worked a few days on the first film too, Megan, and I years later working on the second one, still hadn't got around to watching the first one because it just wasn't my vibe. But I mean, I watched it, it was fine, it actually wasn't that scary, but I just didn't want to think about an AI doll coming in and creeping me out and being able to anyway. So yeah, but because I know and love many people that have worked on those films with me, I do love watching it because it's being able to see the whole picture come together. So from that standpoint, you know, I was very happy to do it, and I will finish watching Megan 2 soon. I'm excited that it's actually on Netflix, so I can support my wonderful creative friends that worked on it with me. Yeah, so yeah, I had a point. I'll come back to my point. So yeah, big day. So I'm filming this like 4 to midnight right now. So yeah, okay. So I honestly mostly enjoy my own company and hanging out at home and doing my own thing more than many other things these days. So like staying out a bit late and being out all day back to back to back things was a bit confronting for me. And I wouldn't even call myself an introvert. I'm not. Like, I'm quite an ambivert actually. Which is when you're extroverted, introverted, depending on the situation, when you just feel like it. I just usually just I get energy from being by myself, if that makes sense. It fills up my cup by spending time alone. It drains me to be out in crowd settings for too long, for instance. But having said that, like, I mean, I actually found this festival, for instance, was something that really actually excited me and filled me up. So my hyper focus and my nerdiness came out, and I was really enjoying it. I mean, I was only there for a couple of hours too, so that helps. But yeah, there is something to be said for. I mean, it made me realize actually being out all day. I was like, how little I do the outside things outside of like work and basic commitments these days, because we kind of spend so much time on the internet, and it's actually sad to say it like that, but it's good to do things in the real world. And the more that I hear about who's running the tech companies and the things going on around the world, I just don't want to put so much time and energy into products being created by people with lesser morals, like, well, just very shaky morals or no morals at all. Because I really believe that we vote with our dollar, with our time and our energy. You're voting every time you're putting time and energy or money towards something. You're voting towards more what you want more of in the world. And if you're doing something that drains you and doesn't feel good, and you're putting time and energy into it again and again and again, you're kind of voting for it to a degree. So like, how can you shift that, you know? Yeah. So I guess what I was saying was just a reminder for my fellow alone time lovers to make sure you get out of your comfort zone and will get outside and meet people and talk to people once in a while, because it can be really beneficial. And even if I have made no contacts today for anyone that might get me work or come on my podcast or whatever. It was just awesome to just expand my awareness of what's going on in film around here, what kind of people and crew are out there, what they do, and that it's all been happening here. I've been here for 6 months in Australia, and like the way they were talking about all the stuff, like it's just gone on around us all the time, and I had barely noticed, and I had this mindset like I'll be lucky to get anything over here because I don't know anyone or many people. So it was just interesting because it completely challenged my mindset I've been under. And also, like, part of, like, I moved over here very scrappily. I sold my car in order to make it work, which meant I didn't have the money to buy a car when I got here. And I still don't. And to work in film and TV, you very much need a vehicle to get to locations. Yes, and just get around in general. So that's also another reason why I haven't put my hand up for film work, because I think, oh, they're just going to be like, oh, can you drive to set? And I'll be like, yeah, how about that? Don't have a car. So, yeah, I thought I won't annoy them until then. But at the same time, we also need to update our versions of ourselves, because in my head, I'm still a young 19-year-old, I think, trying to get my foot in the door to work in, or at least a 25-year-old only a few years in a new city. Just trying to get my foot in the door, hoping someone will hire me and trying to make it as least annoying to them as possible. Thus, having a car and just covering my own possible needs first. But I'm actually experienced 17 years as a costumer specifically, and I am also a coach, deeply trained coach, and there's spaces where that is valuable, and it might be that they would happily hire me a car as part of the contract to work for them, like you just don't know. And how often do we maybe not even realize that we're assuming that something isn't possible for us, when like it just takes a different perspective. Maybe you talk to someone who's in similar shoes and they just go for it and they just ask for a rental car included in their contract, for instance. They just don't make that a thing. It's like, I've made it such a thing that for 6 months all this stuff's going on and I just barely knew anything about it. And my experience has been available to a degree, or at least some of that time, and even though they're desperate for people and specifically pointed out costume, I was not aware. So yeah, I didn't know who to talk to, and that's me with tons of experience in the industry. And this is also why, like, I love speaking into bridging that gap between what you get out of being in film school and what you actually need to get those first few jobs, to get your foot in the door. There's just a gap there between the film school knowledge and what's actually gonna give you that work ethic and that understanding to appeal to the heads of department that are going to actually hire you if you're in film. Anyway, I have talked a little nerdy about film here today, but yeah, really glad I put myself out there today, and I will be excited to come straight home tomorrow without having anywhere to go. So nerdy. But I think, I'm like, why did I feel that way? I think it's because even if I don't create every day, I like having the space to create. And by create, like I'm talking about at the moment, for me, it's like making these videos and also, starting my podcast the other night. And I want to start another podcast, but I need the time alone with myself at home in order to make that happen. And sometimes I procrastinate and won't get any of the productive things done. but sometimes magic happens, and then I get to share it with the world. So yeah, hopefully more of the magic happening soon. And anyway, we'll leave it there tonight. Hope you're all well.